Good morning. I am Jim Drake. I am the board chair this year for New Mexico First. Welcome and good morning to our 41st statewide town hall, one of the largest in our 30-year history. Thank you for joining us today. We're very pleased to have you here. Thank you for being willing to lend your voice to economic development policy in New Mexico. It's an important issue. Our events for New Mexico First, as you know, are grounded in the reality that there are many things that unite us as Americans and as New Mexicans. To that end, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the New Mexico state flag. If you're not familiar with the state pledge, it's printed in the agenda in your packet. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Quite a few, so if you could please hold your applause until the end, and as I call your name, if you could please stand. I'd like to quickly recognize the public officials who are with us today. Firstly, the First Lieutenant Governor of Acoma, Raymond Concho. We have a number of folks, so if you could hold your enthusiasm until the end. The Bernalillo County Commissioner Maggie Hart Stebbins. Okay. Cabinet Secretary of Tax and Revenue Demetria Padilla. Santa Fe Councilor Sherry Abraham. Mayor Bernalillo Jack Torres. Looks like some of these folks got busy this morning. Santa Fe County Commissioner Liz Stefanis. Senator Gerald Ortiz-Pino. Thank you. Senator Cynthia Nava. Former Lieutenant Governor Diane Denish. Councilman Jicarilla Apache Tribal Council Wainwright Velarde. Raymond Mondragon Clovis Board of Trustees, and Tim Eichenberg, New Mexico State Treasurer. Thank you very much for We also have with us today staff from our federal representatives, as well as U.S. Congressman Steve Pierce, U.S. Senator Tom Udall, U.S. Senator Martin Heinrich, and U.S. Congresswoman Michelle Lujan Grisham. Thank you. Apologies if there are other officials here today that I didn't mention. If we missed you, please let us know that you are here. We are also pleased to have several New Mexico First board members with us, both current and emeritus. Many thanks to all of you for your continual support. Will you please stand? I know we have a lot of board members. In addition, we have several members of our research committee here with us. This group advised us on our background report, which you all got a copy of. It's very nice and thorough, and it set a good groundwork for our work today, and we are very grateful for all of their hard work. We've gotten a lot of good feedback on this report, and it gives us a good starting point, but not an ending point, of course, for our discussion today. The research committee is listed in the report, but I would ask you all to please stand if you're on the research committee so we can acknowledge and thank you. Also, last but not least, we could not do all of this work without the support of our sponsors and who made this town hall possible for us. So all of the town hall sponsors are also listed in your programs, and we would ask you to join us in expressing our appreciation. If you are representing any of the event sponsors, if you would please stand. Be shy. Thank you so much. Now that we've managed to get most of the room on its feet at one time or another, it's time to get started. So let me turn the program over to our amazing and wonderful and accomplished New Mexico First President, Heather Vallis.
Thank you, Joan. We are so fortunate at New Mexico First to have a really terrific board of directors, and this year we have been chaired by Joan Drake, and she's provided excellent leadership to our organization, so thank you, ma'am. I would like to take a few minutes and just very quickly go through a little bit about what is New Mexico First. Can I get you to raise your hand for me if you've been through one of our deliberations before, a statewide town hall, or oh, good deal. Thank you for suffering to come back. We're grateful. For those of you that haven't been through or had the opportunity to take part in one of these deliberations before, what I'd like to do is remind you that New Mexico First is a nonpartisan, nonprofit public policy organization. Our mission is to engage the people of our state in policy, to engage them in an opportunity to really help solve the biggest problems that face New Mexico, and to do that with independent, thoughtful, bipartisan research. And so to that end, we do our work every day in terms of citizen engagement and preparing the policy papers like the one that you all received for this event. And for your information, there's many of those on topics including water, energy, healthcare, education, and those are all at newmexicofirst.org for free anytime that you need them. The reason we do this work is because we believe that lawmakers are going to make better choices every single time they're asked to make choices, when they are given the opportunity to really understand where the citizenry is. And the citizenry is going to be able to really advance solid policy when you all really understand the issues. And so our aim is to help our lawmakers make good choices with the information that you can provide them, because you know what's happening in your communities better than anybody. So I want you to know that we are all here today because we want a stronger New Mexico. You'll smile to know that everybody on my staff wakes up almost every day of the year saying, what am I going to do today to make New Mexico stronger? And I know that this morning that you all woke up with that same question on your mind. The other question you might have woken up this morning wondering is, who else is going to be here today? And I've got a quick slide to answer that question for you. Hey, Melanie, would you advance to the picture of who's here? So you're going to see we've got a really fabulous, diverse group of participants that are at this event today. We have business sector people. The abbreviation EDC stands for Economic Development Corporations. That's also where we have grouped the chambers. We have a lot of educators in the room. We have people from the energy field. We've got local, state, and federal government. That includes people that are working hands-on as well as electeds. We have a nonprofit sector represented in a very significant way, along with our tribal communities, agriculture communities, and healthcare. And some people fit more than one category. So the pie is imperfect, you know. You may be a member of, you may be somebody who's here having registered as a business person, but you also are representing your agricultural interest or vice versa. So we did our best to try to present a picture of who's here, knowing that you could probably slice that pie a few ways. The big message is we are a very mixed group. The other thing that's nice about this terrific mix of people is we are from all 7 regions of the state. Many of you know the Economic Development Department does divide the state into these 7 organizing regions, and all of them are represented today, and we're thrilled by that. So for those of you that traveled and had to get up early or had to come in last night, we say to you, thank you for the extra effort you had to take to get here. So the other thing I wanted to just quickly mention is when people come to these events, they often say, you know, so what happens when it's all said and done? You ask us to spend 2 days, you ask us to work really hard, and I'm apologizing in advance, we do. And then people say, so what happens next? And I just wanted to give you a few examples, and we've got other examples that we're going to share throughout the event. But we wanted you to know that past town halls have contributed to the advancement of state and regional water planning, the passage of funding increases for science and math education, expansion of Medicaid, enactment of the renewable energy tax credits, the creation of the New Mexico Tax Research Institute, and I believe that their executive director, Richard Incolm, is here today. A whole host of other successes that have resulted in no small part because people like you came together and worked hard to produce the recommendations that helped make those things happen. And so over the next 2 days, we'll see what you all come up with. No doubt it will be brilliant. And later this morning we'll talk about the process we're going to use to harvest that brilliance. But first, I want to remind you that New Mexico First was co-founded by U.S. Senators Pete Domenici and Jeff Bingaman, and our tradition is that the 2 sitting U.S. Senators then have become honorary co-chairs. And so we're honored that Senator Udall and Senator Heinrich fill that role for us, and they both provided welcome videos for us that we're going to take a quick look at. Let's take a look at those. Senator Udall's first. Senator Udall is almost first. Hang on. So we've got a technical trouble, so what I think we should do instead is jump ahead and come back to the senator videos. Is that an okay strategy, Melanie? So you're good to go on the quiz? Okay, so what we're going to do instead, while we're getting that situation going, is I'm going to switch microphones, and I'm going to ask everyone to look on your table, and you're going to find a little thing that looks like a gift bag, and alas, it doesn't have candy or toys in there. It does have some electronic polling devices, and we'd like everybody to take one. And we have enough for all of our participants, as well as we think most of our observers. We'll be using these same devices tomorrow when we vote on the actual recommendations. So what we're going to ask you to do is make sure all the participants have one, and then if you have observers at your table and you have enough clickers, then share those around. If you have a table that has extras, if you'll stand up and hold them in the air, then anybody who needs one can come find you. Thanks. All you have to do to vote is press and answer. And we're going to use this as a moment to sort of recap on some of the main points that were identified in the background report. And you all, I'm sure, noted that we pretty intentionally structured this town hall to be different than the traditional economic development only town halls. We did that because we know that people who are focusing on the economic challenges of families and people who are living in poverty that are dealing with those economic challenges, they often have slightly, maybe they're using slightly different vocabulary or talking about the issues in slightly different ways than people who are thinking about economic development, job creation, industry diversification. But those of us who work at New Mexico First, we get the privilege of talking to everybody. And consequently, we know that all of those folks want the same thing for New Mexico. And we know that in many cases, all of those folks are advancing very comparable strategies. So we intentionally threw a party today that says, let's put everybody in the room together and let's learn from each other and let's hear from each other. And so to that end, the very first step in starting to learn and hear from each other is let's get a handle on what we know or don't know from the background report. So you're going to have a chance to just provide some answers to some quick questions, and we'll see what we know or don't know. And we try to grab a couple of questions from each chapter. So first question up is on poverty. Over the last 5 years, the percentage of New Mexicans living in poverty has either gone up, gone down, or stayed about the same. You're going to vote with your clicker, 1, 2, or 3, depending upon which of those answers you think is right. And you're going to have, I think, 10 seconds to do it. Melanie, are we ready?
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
10 seconds. Go now.
G plus press soon.
So we have 82% of the room that says that that poverty is increasing in New Mexico. And those of you that just punched that in, you know that you can press send if you want, but you don't have to. All you have to do is really hit the number. So, having said that, the answer is actually, we've stayed about the same. We've been at about 20–21% in terms of the percentage of our state that's living in poverty since 2010. So we remain the second poorest state in the nation this year. So let's look at the next one. Nonprofits. What percentage of New Mexico's workforce is employed by nonprofit organizations? That might be as low as 5, might be as high as 15. Tell us what you think. Punch in your number, and we'll see what you think. Okay. We don't know how many nonprofits are operating in New Mexico, as is abundantly clear by this picture. Some of us think it's pretty low, 15. Some of us think it's pretty high at 40. The answer is the middle. Let's advance to the next slide. It's 8%. That's about 48,000 people in New Mexico who are employed by nonprofit organizations, generating as a sector $6.5 billion in annual revenues in New Mexico. We added this to the mix because when we talk about economic issues in New Mexico, we very frequently don't think to talk about the nonprofit sector. So we're giving us a minute to remember there's a whole lot of pieces that are contributing to the state economy. Here's one of them. Now let's look on some more. When we shift to thinking about workforce development, and for those of you that have been paying attention to the background report, we're shifting into chapter 2 now. We know that we have a whole host of people in New Mexico that are trying to get the skills they need. By 2020, what percentage of jobs in New Mexico will require some form of college or trade school education? About a third, 2/3, or 90? What do you think? All right, so you do know the answer to this question, I'm pleased to report. 70% of the room picked 2, 63%, and I'm pretty sure that is in fact correct. It sure is. So we know that increasingly the careers of the future require more education, and we need to be planning for that accordingly. And that came through in the background report and in almost every interview that we did as we were preparing for this town hall. Let's look at the next question. We're about halfway through these, by the way. We're not going to do this all day, I promise. Entrepreneurship. New Mexico ranks what in the nation in terms of the percent of our adult population that becomes entrepreneurs? We're either near the bottom, near the top, or somewhere in the middle. What do you think? Okay, so once again, we don't know, but we're about to find out. Answer is third. We are actually one of the best in the nation in terms of the percent of our adult population that become entrepreneurs. One of the things we're going to talk about with the panel is the challenge isn't that we have people who want to be entrepreneurs. We have a hard time sustaining them. We have a hard time having their businesses be successful, or we have a hard time keeping them here. So we want to figure out how do we leverage this number that we are awesome at, and then help that carry through to a stronger, more vibrant economy for the state as a whole. Let's look at the next one. Big industries. So when we think about what makes up the New Mexico economy, we give you some options. 2 largest industry sectors in the state as measured by employment. That's either healthcare and retail, ag and education, or oil and gas and manufacturing. What do you think? By the way, 10 seconds doesn't sound like a long time, but it's actually quite a while when it comes to voting and things like this. There we go. So 3/4 of the room says healthcare and retail, 20% guessing that it might be ag and education, and a little less than 10% thinks it's the oil and gas and manufacturing folks, but 3/4 of the room is right. We're talking about healthcare and retail that are currently the largest industry sectors in terms of the number of employees that they are putting into the workforce. So then, when we think about our rural and tribal communities and what's unique about them, one of the questions that people raise is whether our rural and tribal areas are declining in population, growing in population. What's happening there? So, true or false, the number of New Mexicans living on rural and tribal lands is steadily decreasing. Is that true or false? Okay, so 80% of the room says it's true that the number is decreasing. And alas, 80% of the room is mistaken. Actually, it's in a complicated picture, so you're going to see this in 2 slides. The first one we're going to show you is that the rural population by total, in terms of the actual number of New Mexicans in our rural or tribal communities, is slightly increasing. It's not growing by leaps and bounds, but it is slightly increasing. But when we flip that and we look at it by the percentage of population, what portion of us live in rural lands, it has in fact been on a steady decline for a long time. So fewer of the percent, greater numbers are in our rural and tribal areas. Does that make sense to folks? Okay, great. Was that our last question? Do we have one more? Oh no, I think we have one more or 2. Maybe 2 more? Okay, we're getting close to the end. Energy. So next up, we know that New Mexico is a significant supplier of energy to the nation, but how significant are we? 6th in the nation, 23rd in the nation, 16th in the nation. What do you think? Y'all think we're 6th in the nation, and you're right. I'm pretty sure you're right. Let's see. Yes, we're right. Love that. And that's because we are a net supplier of energy that's primarily oil and gas production, most of which does occur back on those rural and tribal lands we were just talking about. So, and that may be our last one. This is our last one. Federal spending. So New Mexico is a state that is somewhat dependent on federal dollars. Where are we in terms of our neighbors? Are we the most dependent state in the nation on federal dollars? Least dependent, or somewhere in the middle, partially? Forget this partial, just assume it means middle. Most, least, middle in terms of our reliance on federal dollars and our state economy. You got it right. 86% of the room has this right. We are the most dependent of any state in the nation in terms of the percentage of our overall economy that comes from federal investment. That's a lot of that is defense spending. That's labs, that's the military bases. A lot of that is also the changing role of the healthcare dollar in the state economy. We're going to talk about these issues on the panel. And I do believe now that is our last question. Isn't that right, Melanie? Are we done with this? Okay, so give yourselves a round of applause for getting your and give me a second to confer with my team and see if we're going to watch some videos now or if we're going to come back to it. Hang on. All right, so rumor has it we're about to see some videos from our state leaders. So give us 1 second. We think Senator Udall is coming up right now.
Hello everyone, Tom Udall here. Good morning and welcome to today's town hall. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but I appreciate the opportunity to share a few words. I'd like to thank New Mexico First for today's conference on building a strong and vital economy for New Mexico. Special thanks to Heather Wallace for her leadership and to the New Mexico First Board of Directors, today's sponsors, and all of you for giving your time to help improve our state's economic health. This is a chance to help shape our future, and I encourage you to think big, innovate, and develop new ideas. We face big challenges, and they require big solutions. Growth has been slow in New Mexico, but we're seeing improvements. We need to keep building on that progress, on our strengths. New Mexico is home to the best scientists in the world, tremendous natural resources, brilliant entrepreneurs. We must create an economy that supports them in every way we can. It will take time. It will take all of us working together, federal, state, and local government, public and private sectors, building new opportunities, building a strong middle class, helping working families, and doing more for small businesses. Every hardworking New Mexican should have a chance to get ahead. And many economic leaders here today from across our state show that we share a commitment to moving New Mexico forward. And I'm proud to be your partner in Washington to fight for smart investments that grow our economy. I'm pushing for technology transfer from our national laboratories to build private sector jobs. I'm working to expand the creative economy to help artists and entrepreneurs start new businesses. I'm focused on ways to turn water scarcity into jobs, to make New Mexico a leader in water technology. And I'm fighting for resources to ensure that every child has a chance to succeed. But we need to do more. We need to be strategic and bold. Our commitment must be equal to the challenge. Thank you for taking the time for these important issues. I wish you a productive conference, and I look forward to hearing your recommendations. Together we can build a brighter future for New Mexico. Cheers and have a great day.
So we appreciate that message, and one of the things that I appreciate about what Senator Udall and what Senator Heinrich both do for us when they prepare these videos is they weave in very solid content that's relevant to the discussion that we're going to have. And we heard that just now from Senator Udall, and now we're going to hear from Senator Heinrich. And then when this is done, can I ask my roundtable speakers to make their way to the front of the room?
Thank you for inviting me to share a few words with you. I want to thank New Mexico First for hosting this town hall, and I appreciate all of the creative minds gathered here today who are working hard to improve our state's economic climate and future. This conversation couldn't be more timely. I don't have to tell you that our state's economic picture remains challenging. We all know the frustration that comes each year when we see New Mexico at or near the bottom of national rankings for child well-being, high school graduation rates, or economic security. So what should we be doing to put our state on a different trajectory? We need to diversify our state's economy while maintaining the strength and vibrancy of our national labs, military bases, and research universities. and their surrounding communities. We also must remove barriers to tech transfer to help spur commercialization of innovative technologies and create advanced manufacturing jobs. From clean energy and supercomputing to healthcare, outdoor recreation, and the arts, New Mexico has the potential to become a national leader in emerging jobs creating fields. But that can only happen if we devote serious resources to build a strong and dynamic workforce. All of the potential we could ever ask for sits in homes and churches and classrooms across New Mexico. Every New Mexico child needs to be able to access high-quality education, from early childhood development to K through 12 public schools to an affordable post-secondary education. That requires real investment in our kids' schools and in their families' health and well-being each step of the way. I want you to think of me as a partner in the effort to make New Mexico a better place to work, start a business, and raise a family. And I want to learn about the ideas generated by your dialogue so that I can help out by putting them into action. I look forward to working with all of you to put our state on a path toward a brighter economic future.